So let me share my screen with you. Have a few of the usual announcements. This is who we are, of course. I'm Chris Harwood. I'm the president of the New York chapter of the Czechoslovak Society of Arts and Sciences. Please follow us on Facebook, check out our website. And we are proudly supported by the Bohemian Benevolent and Literary Association, without whose support our activities are not possible. And we invite you to check us out on YouTube as well. And please subscribe if you find us on YouTube. If you subscribe to our account, that will help us get to that desired point where we can have our own named channel instead of just an unrememberable series of numbers and letters. And we're always glad to have your feedback on this event or any of our recent events. So please send us a note to this email address, newyork@svu2000.org. And of course, I'd like to put in a pitch for some upcoming events. Coming up March 21st, not our event, but the Society for the History of Czechoslovak Jews is having this event with Lisa Peschel, one of the leading scholars of the Czech Holocaust, who will be presenting new material, never before presented, cabaret scripts from Terezín. So that's going to be a very interesting program. Our next SVU Purely program is coming up Wednesday, April 7th, when Helena Čapková is going to present on the Czech-American architect Antonín Raimund, as he was known in the US, Raimund, as he was known in Czech, who had a huge influence on the architectural scene in Japan. And then coming up April 29th, you will have many hours over which you can check in on our marathon reading of the first part of The Good Soldier Švejk by Jaroslav Hašek. This book, which is widely considered to be among the most important works of Czech literature ever, was published, the first volume of it, published for the first time exactly 100 years ago. And so on the eve of the author's birthday, we will be reading the entire first part. We'll have a large cast of volunteer readers reading from beginning to end, probably starting around 2 p.m. So please join us for those events. And I would also like to thank as well our media partners for this event, the Consulate General of Slovakia in New York and the Czech Center New York, who helped us get the word out about today's event. And so, Zuzana, are we ready to go to the video?
Yes, so before we show the video and hopefully give more time to Tom to join us because he has technical problems, I just would like to explain to those who are not familiar with our program, with this format. The 3-minute challenge is a spin-off of the 6-minute challenge that we used to do at the Bohemian National Hall in the past before the COVID struck. So the concept behind this is not only to present, the brilliant Czech and Slovak New Yorkers, but also to create sort of an oral history of these peculiar times that we are, in now. So the short video, which is about 10 minutes, is composed from 3 parts, 3 segments, featuring each of our guests tonight. And the stars of the video were challenged to videotape themselves on, iPhone probably, or any mobile phone. So kudos to them. And then it was my challenge to fit all the feet of all the materials into 3 minutes, hence the 3-minute challenge. So that's from me. And so we'll see you on the other end.
even though my work as far as wage work in museums and galleries has been greatly reduced, my work in the studio and curating projects and even going overseas for some things has continued. So I've been able to sort of battle through all the fear that I have personally and work through these conditions. I had a piece at Pragofa Gallery the spring, and that was a fun project because I actually had to make a drawing and send it to the technicians at the gallery there, and they executed it a la Sol LeWitt, and they did a really great job. And that was a really fun way for me to work, not a way I usually work. So these are some of the works that I've been making in my studios. They're sound studies. They're wood on, well, they're paint on wooden panels. And I've actually been experimenting with the idea of the panel on the wall directly as a pure painting, and then the panel painting as an object. And as far as my curating projects in New York go, there's a few of them. There's actually 4 projects right now that I curated that are still up. One is at One Metrotech Center. It's an exhibition called Assembled. It's a group exhibition of sculpture. That's in the lobby there of that building at One Metrotech. Then at 15 Metrotech on the facade is Liz Collins, a giant mural that she did. It takes up the whole facade of the building. And then Carolina Parlato has just opened a beautiful piece at the concourse level of One New York Plaza. And then Robin Kang is out at Roosevelt Island at the Tata Innovation Center. So those projects have been really rewarding and fun, and I've gotten to work with the artists through Zoom and through other methods. So it's been a generally very positive experience that way. So I feel blessed that I've been able to turn some of the situation into a positive thing for me and have been able to keep my practice alive.
When Corona broke suddenly, it was a very strange time for me because I just started to work as a caseworker at the University Settlement, which was my agency because I'm still a student, and so I do my internship there. And so it was a very strange time because I had my clients and I was working with them. I used to do home visits with them, and I helped them with the services they needed, like link them with the services, and also I helped them emotionally. They talked to me like with basic counseling, I can say. And in March, we had to stay at home suddenly, and we had to start to work from home. And that was difficult for me, for my clients, because they basically, some of them depended on me, I would say, or like depended on the help of Settlement University, and it was very difficult to get in contact with somebody on the phone. Many times they had like answering machine, or I remember it took a long time to get help in general for these clients who basically also didn't know what to do at the time, who were basically left alone. They're elderly, and most of them homebound. Some of them don't speak even English. I mean, I speak Spanish, so I work with a Hispanic population. Many of them felt isolation even more than they usually do. They were dealing with a lot of depression, anxiety, so I kind of helped them more emotionally than I did before.
I really like to help people, support them in difficult life situation, but also it is important in this profession to help people to find their own strength, their own inner resources, so that they can help themselves. In the United States, this profession is more clinical than in Slovakia. And so I also like this part to support clients in holistic point of view. That means from not only from social point of view, but also psychologically, emotionally. That is very important. I've been thinking about working as a oncology social worker because I'm a cancer survivor. 4 years ago, I published a book called Exit Havana. And this book is basically a woman who was diagnosed with breast cancer. I also have been volunteering for American Cancer Society. So maybe as an oncology social worker that I will be able to use my skills.
COVID-19 definitely freed us. Almost all our work was wiped out. We have much more time, not that much money, but much more time to work on our personal projects. And so we have been documenting volunteer efforts in New York City since the beginning of April. Volunteers that have been working and distributing food. There are a lot of people starving around us, and we should always remember that. We decided to help somehow with our talent, so we always donate materials to the groups, mutual aid groups, and they use it for fundraising. We also documented protests of George Floyd's protest in Black Lives Matter. We had actually a big success photo. We didn't expect that. But we are super happy that some kind of a hope image that people like it. It's actually now in an ending exhibit of International Center for Photography.
Okay, you want me to do the last spin?
Yep.
All right, here I go.
Cannot believe, but I became a teacher. I just never expected to become one, especially one for first grade in American school. It's kind of cool. So I started kindergarten in March, and now I am in first grade. I'm definitely making my vocabulary of English much bigger. I thought I was working on my accent too, but it seems like we are still having problems on my accent. So, and also articles. So my son is doing really well. I'm an amazing teacher and I am learning a lot of stuff. I'm also learning new things in board game areas. It's called Old Mate, and I'm pretty good in cheating. Seems that the pandemic will be on for a little bit more, so I have a time to improve my articles. But luckily I'm in first grade.
Okay, well, thank you all who stayed with us through this. I can see that we now have a full complement of participants here. So everyone who you saw in that video is now in our Zoom room, and we'll be ready to take your questions. I'm going to just read a little bit about each of our participants. Yeah, let me just say a few words about each of the people you just saw. Probably some of their life path you've been able to infer from what you saw, but let me tell you a little about each of them. Tom Kotik was born in Prague to an artistic family, and he is a Brooklyn-based artist, curator, and musician. He has exhibited at the Leslie Heller Workspace in New York, at Fundació Joan Miró in Barcelona, the Kostka Gallery in Prague, and the House of Arts in Brno. Since 2013, he has been a curator at large for Arts Brookfield in New York, organizing exhibitions of emerging artists in New York and Los Angeles. He received his MFA from Hunter College in 2004, and he's been a resident artist at the Meat Factory in Prague, Art OMI Yado, LMCC Workspace Program, and the AIM program at the Bronx Museum of Art. He uses silence as the starting position of his artworks. Many of his works deal with both the physical aspects of silence and materials from which non-functional replicas of audio equipment generate, as well as socio-political implications of silence itself. Both a practicing sculptor and a rock musician, he prefers making silent works that allow the viewers to compose as they observe. Thus, sound, silence, and form can find true harmony. Music used in his video is played by his band. So please join me in welcoming Tom Kotik. Our second guest is Maya Harsanyova, who is a writer known under the pseudonym of Maya Reyes, who hails from the town of Modra in Slovakia. She earned her Master's of Social Work at the St. Elizabeth College in Bratislava and is currently finishing a master's degree at the Silberman School of Social Work of Hunter College to get her social work license for the US. She enjoys psychology and is interning as a group facilitator and therapist. Before she settled in New York in 2016, she lived in England, in Spain, the Netherlands, and Cuba. Her novel, Exit Havana, which we saw a little about in the video, was published in 2016 by the Motyl Publishing House in Slovakia. The story is based on her own experience as a breast cancer patient. Maria enjoys photography, and she's developing a new blog site in Slovakia called the New York Tak Trochu Inak. And our third guest is Anna Rathkopf, who lived in Prague until 2005 when she met her American husband and moved to New York. She received her MA in Jewish Studies from Charles University in Prague. Her love for reading and photography led her naturally to blogging. And in her Czech blog, Mama Zavodo, she describes her expat life in Brooklyn and in her Brooklyn bilingual household. Her husband is a photographer, and together they formed a photography company. When she was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 37, they decided to create a photo project called Her Too to raise awareness about the possibility of cancer in people under 40 and the importance of relationships and love in times of adversity. The photos documenting Anna's journey to recovery were published in several publications and are part of the Susan G. Komen rebranding campaign. In 2020, the pandemic became a new subject for the team and a new photography project. Community Heroes sets out to capture the quiet heroes, mostly women, who volunteer to run food distribution centers in their neighborhood for people in need. Photos have appeared in several articles and would be part of an upcoming exhibition. One of her photos was included in the ICP's exhibition, ICP Concerned, Global Images for Global Crisis. And as we saw in the video, Anna is also proud of her new role as a home teacher to her first grader, where she's mastering songs about months or days and improving her math skills as well. So please join me in welcoming all three of our participants, and we can field questions. I think probably it's a manageable enough group that I could get you through a visible hand wave, but if you're able to use the hand wave function in Zoom, that will make sure we find you.
So can I start?
Of course, take the lead.
So first of all, I apologize for my crashing computer. I don't know why. Never happened before, but oh well. I have a question for Tom, because the video that we have done, or you have done, it's been some time ago. So what happened since, when was it? Since October with you?
Well, it's been interesting. I've slowly been working in the studio, coming up with some new ideas. I actually had a exhibition in in Prague at Pragovka Gallery. And it was kind of interesting where I made the drawings for the piece because at that time we weren't able to travel yet to Prague. This was back in November. And I sent drawings of the piece to my friends in Prague who actually executed the piece at the Pragovka Gallery. So that was a really nice, fun way of working, figuring out how to work in the studio and transfer that idea to the other side of the world practically and have that executed. So that was very interesting. And I actually, in my other life as well, I install artwork. I work as a technician installing exhibitions. And I went to Portugal to install a big exhibition of Louise Bourgeois. So a little bit of normalcy kind of crept into these crazy times where I was actually working again, which, you know, a lot of things had shut down, especially in cultural institutions. Things have been very, very slow. They're finally starting to come back to life now. So that was pretty exciting, pretty extraordinary to be able to travel during these times too. So that was pretty interesting. And, you know, really the gallery work is beginning to come back and things are slowly opening. So I'm actually kind of getting busier and busier, which I didn't expect, but it's happening finally.
Are you busy with your, I mean, are you missing a people contact? Are you working by yourself or are you actually interact?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am working, you know, at least within the technical work that I do, I am working with teams of people. So I do have that social contact in the working day. But of course, after work, everyone goes home. There really isn't that much of interaction socially as there was in former times, let's say. However, the thing I do miss most is playing music. You know, that's really stopped pretty much. I mean, I have been playing music here and there with individuals here and there, and I practice at home and so on. But, you know, with basically all performance venues closed, it's just been a big hole in my kind of creative energy not to be able to perform music for people.
Well, I have to point out that the music that you heard in his piece was his piece, right?
Well, it's a band song, but I performed on the song. Yeah, so you're hearing my bass playing on.
Why was it called Trainwreck?
Trainwreck. Well, Trainwreck is kind of, you know, the music in that particular band is based on country music and bluegrass, and so trains and train wrecks and things about trains are kind of a traditional motif within American folk culture. So
great.
That's where that comes from.
Tom, we have a question from our audience. Katrina Vizina is not able to connect through her microphone right now, but she does a question for you. Do you find that as an artist, you're starting to find different ways to present your art, even ways you were never forced to consider before?
Well, that's an interesting question. You know, like I said, I had that experience where I had to make very technical drawings to execute a piece because I couldn't be at the gallery to execute it myself. So in that sense, that's been a real eye-opener in how to function that way. And I've always had an interest in architecture and things. So to be able to translate an idea from a small drawing to a big wall-sized piece, that's really kind of been a fun way to work again. But you know, honestly, I need to be more proactive about getting into digital work and computer work because after all these times, you see the value of the digital realm. So that's something I'm trying to do more of, actually.
I had a question for Maya. I couldn't help noticing that you are working on your second degree in social work. And I was wondering how that works. You know, my wife is a physician who has her education from Prague, and there is a path through which, you know, your professional qualifications in medicine can be recognized in the US. Is there a path through which one's qualifications as a social worker can be recognized?
Oh yeah. So the thing is that I want to obtain my license here in the US, state of New York. And in order to obtain this license, I need to have certain hours of practicum. And as I didn't have that much practicum hours in Slovakia, so I have to repeat the school. And unfortunately, I couldn't go like directly through the agency to count the hours, but it just, yeah. It kind of took me some time to find out. But yeah, like, so this was the best way how to do that. So, but it's a huge experience also, like to be directly working with people. So.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions for any of our presenters?
I have one from Maya. In that video, you briefly mentioned that there's a difference between the American approach and the Slovak approach to
social work.
So what is the difference?
Yeah, because in the US, social work is more clinical. That means that as a social worker, I can provide therapy, which I'm learning right now, and practicing also like providing to my clients. And so yeah, and in Slovakia, we don't really have this option. I mean, there's certain like basic counseling, there's, but not really like psychotherapy. And so it's one of the tools of social workers here in the United States also. And in Slovakia, it's not like this.
Vera raised a hand.
Oh, she asked it.
Yeah. So I have a question for Anna. I think it's amazing how you used like something what you were doing before and you applied it to the current situation with documenting, all the relief work which is being done. My question is this, do you perceive this as something temporary, what you do now, because that's really needed and it fits the situation, and then you want to go back to what you were doing before, or you feel it's really shaped where you will go afterwards and it will sort of like shift your path or change your path, and you will basically never go back to what was before? And that's like this big question which everybody has, but applied to what you did.
Thanks. First of all, I wanted to thank you both, all three of you. You did a great job. I know Zoom is always throwing curveball.
I'll say.
I had that so many times happen this past year. But as for your question, I guess I don't think so. This is like, that's our personal project, what we are working on with the volunteers. It started like last year, basically this time almost. And we have been just following people because we felt the need to show their work and show what they're doing. As per our regular job, I guess it shifted and we don't want to go back. We were earning a lot of money by photographing events, which wasn't nothing against events, but that's not where our heart was. Mm-hmm. And we found out that basically we want to follow the path that we want to follow. So right now we are working on a huge campaign for Susan G. Komen. We are following African American woman who's facing a lot of challenges because of her race. So this is going to be a new campaign for racial equity in healthcare system in America, which I believe is super important. So we found out that there is that we don't have to be, I guess as I was mentioning in the video, I guess it kind of liberated us by taking away everything that we were signed for, all the commissions and everything, almost wiped up all the jobs that we had. And we had to really hard think what we want to do. And that's definitely in the domain of pursuing places that we want to be in. I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's yeah. I hope we won't really. I love events. I love the one, for example, in Czech Center, right, with the dances. I love that. I love documenting people and cultures and showing the special feeling that you have. But yeah, I guess I would prefer to do something more meaningful.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question in from the chat from Maya. Could you talk a little about how challenging it is to communicate with clients about difficult issues or about their anxieties when you're, not with them? I thought that was the question, how I understood, when you can't be there face to face.
Yeah, it's a good question, Karina. Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it definitely was challenging because I was starting in this profession. And my first field, which was, I was working with seniors mostly, and they didn't have that technology, like they were not that advanced as Zoom. And so we spoke on the phone about their needs, about their anxieties, depression. So they were even more talkative than before. And right now, as I'm working for a different agency, interning for different agency, and it's mostly like clinical. And so I'm directly like learning psychotherapy. And it's not easy because I cannot see the client, the person. I don't see their body language, which I would like to, to have like the full, to be full attention to the person, but I don't have that. But still, like we have cameras on mostly, and so that also allows me, like to see the client at some point. And but yeah, I think it would be definitely easier in person. But
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question for Maya. You said you're working on a new book. Is the book also sort of autobiographical, or what is it going to be about?
Actually, I kind of finished almost two manuscripts.
Oh, two? Now. Okay.
Which is a little crazy.
You're busy.
Yeah, so it's there's one manuscript that I finished, and I would like to I still was not able to publish last year. Maybe this year we have to see with the publisher, but it's set in New York, and like partially it's also going to be up to like
social worker.
Not really, but like kind of some like memories, some like real memories that I kind of relived in the book, but just only partially. And the second book is kind of sci-fi, a little fantasy, so that nothing to do with with my life. But yeah.
And how long are they?
I think pretty much. I guess about 150 pages, both of them, like normal space.
When do you write? Because you study, you work. So when do you find time to write?
At the moment, actually, I don't work since like last year, so I have actually more time. So that's the advantage, if I can say. If there is some slight advantage during these times, that I don't have to hurry, I don't have to rush, commute. And so, yeah, I have more time to work. But of course that I have to be disciplined, because we all know about that. Everybody procrastinates these days. So it takes also discipline. Yeah, but I have more time to write. So that makes me happy. And
so it seems that for all of you, really, the pandemics had some positive effects on your work and your life, right? Anichka, you were very busy with what you like to do.
Well, I mean, I think I would say the pandemic has kind of, I think, given everyone a new relationship to work, in general. Like, I mean, I think in the United States, we have this kind of intense relationship to work, where work defines you in a way that it doesn't in other places, especially Europe. And I think the idea that you had to step away from work and concentrate on family and this kind of thing is a real change for American people in general, because they don't think about work the same way that they did before now. I mean, the fact that the government is actually giving people money, I mean, that is a huge change in America. We're not, you're considered a communist if you accept money from the government, instead of working hard and all this, Protestant work ethic garbage that we're sort of told about all the time. So I think that in a way that, it's kind of been a really interesting time. We'll see where it leads. Maybe there is some hope for some progressive things to happen in this country now because of this.
Tom, you've partly anticipated one question that came in from Andrea Stanislav, who thanks all of our participants. But for you, Tom, as an artist, a curator, and a musician, did you experience anything surprising or any unexpected artistic responses to COVID-19?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say surprising in that, the artists that I work with are all very serious and have been working before and will be working after. But I mean, I guess I would just reiterate again, what I found surprising and kind of refreshing was people relaxed and having time to think about their work and dedicating that extra time to their work. And the fact that they couldn't, work a job because it simply wasn't there for them meant that they could spend all that time in their studio. So I really think that's been the kind of nice surprise out of this whole thing,
Other questions for any of our three panelists?
I would like to ask Anna about documenting really the unfortunate unfortunate people, not people, that's the wrong way, the people in unfortunate situations. Do you bring it home? Because I went one day with you and it was pretty shocking to me because I lived in the neighborhood and I had no idea that there's such a poverty and hunger and then discovering these amazing ladies who are giving out food and organizing the food banks and such. So I wonder, you have a small child and you're a young woman and you're devoting really so much time to follow these people. This is quite amazing to me. Do you bring it home?
I think at the beginning it was harder. Now I kind of try to keep it home. Sometimes it does get to me, especially when you see we are trying not to focus on the people who are standing in line because we are trying to keep their dignity intact. It's like the last thing I would like if I would be waiting 3 hours for food, for a food box that's about $30-$40 worth of food. I would not like to have somebody photographing me. But bringing it home, I mean, I always try to decompress in the car or like before coming home. But yes, it definitely gets to you. Especially when you see somebody who might be you, when you see a mother with kids, or when you see like teenagers, because you know how embarrassed they feel and how hard it is for them. And yeah, that's really hard. But yeah, I'm definitely trying not to. I'm in awe of all the people who just pulled together the work. So our project for ourselves is basically a portrait series of the people who are, and we also interviewed them. I forgot to mention that. So we have over 150 volunteers and interview, it's probably in hours now. So we interviewed each volunteer, asking them what they do in normal life, why are they there? And so I'm in awe. Like, I can't believe that people just decided, just because they felt the need, like they saw that their neighbor was hungry, and then they were like, okay, so let's start doing something. And they pulled together money. And some of the people, it's in every neighborhood actually now. So it's we're documenting mostly mutual aid groups that are founded like in Kensington, in the area that we were. That was food distribution by Novshin Ali. And she is a single mother of a 13-year-old boy now. And she just pulled her money in and started to give food to people in the neighborhood. And now she raised over $150,000. Or in our neighborhood, we have a Brooklyn Immigrant Community mutual aid group. And again, it's one indigenous woman that just started to see the need in her neighborhood. And she unfortunately got sick with COVID. So she's now back from hospital. But for me, yes, I definitely do bring it home because, but I'm trying not to. I'm not telling Jesse, well, actually I am telling him sometimes, like, look, they're like, your neighbors might be hungry, so you should finish your dinner. I'm not supposed to do that, but it's really hard. And it's hard because you sometimes feel like there are two worlds, like you live in your own and you're like, okay, I can't go outside, it's so annoying, I cannot go to we cannot set a birthday party for Jesse and see my in-laws. And then you start thinking, oh, but you know, you have food, you have money on the saving account, and you're still earning money, so you should be quiet. So it's really hard actually to see the divided worlds that we live in, and we don't even know about each other.
Anna, I had a question about your first grader. Is he not back to at least part-time in school? And are you at all anxious that when he goes back to school full-time, you're going to be out of that job?
Yeah, he is online only.
Okay.
Because my mom lives with us and she's 67. Also, yeah, so we just, and I had breast cancer, my husband had asthma, so we were trying to play it safe. And also the New York school system just gave us like the option to opt in. The idea was that we can opt in every 3 months, but then in the end of October, Mayor de Blasio said, no, you have to opt in now for the hybrid or not for the rest of the year. So I can see the toll it has on him because he's very much alone. Unfortunately, we got him a dog, but yeah, it's snowballing a lot of issues that I had with myself, and you know, all these things. So I am not worried that I will be out of the job. It's actually really funny because now he's correcting my pronunciation. So we had like this huge thing about me reading once upon a time, but yes, I know it's upon. So yeah, the articles, I sometimes feel I'm messing up his English so bad. Luckily, he has his father here who can correct it, but it's funny. And then I have to always tell him, look, I can say it in 2 languages, and I still know how to spell dog. So yeah, it's tough on kids. It's no matter if what you're like, I know there's so many kids that are like in horrible conditions, but pandemic has been really hard on kids, and I feel for them. So I hope I will have that job over very soon.
Well, folks, you know, this was supposed to be just 3 times 3 minutes, and you've been with us for an hour. We were, of course, a little derailed by the technical issues. But if there's any more, I'm going to make a last call for questions.
I have one. Oh, just, you know, both Maya and Anna, you are compassionate people, and you are looking into the other people who are in worse situations. When do you think it started with you that you had this compassion, when you started to, you know, want to help people and want to document, and by documenting, helping them? Where does it come from? Because, you know, not everybody does it, right?
I guess I was always curious at people, like seeing people. I admit I'm a voyeur. I love looking at people's slit windows and think about the stories there. I love watching people. So I guess it came just like that, like just by being curious about people, except of like, I'm really not standing behind the window. I'm like on the pavement, you know, I don't cross the boundaries. So that close. But yeah, I guess it's just, it started with that. And then definitely by, I don't know, moving here. I also grew up with very compassionate and kind of like a crazy grandfather who was very revolutionary.
Oh.
And yeah, it's I always felt it's like something that we should do, is helping people. And then when I moved here, I realized how different it is and how much in your face everything is. Like, you know, like you get kid and then you have no maternity leave. Then you start wondering like, oh, what about the single mothers? What are they doing? How are they dealing with that? And I guess that's that. And then when you get sick, like I was with breast cancer, that definitely opened another door. Like, I don't want to curse here, but you know, like you're like, what's going on? Like, it's so weird here on so many levels. And there's so many people who are hurting, even though they're working very hard. They have 3-4 jobs and they have no health insurance. How come? So I guess that's the development of your life.
And Maya, what is your?
Yeah, I don't know where to start because basically I can start with volunteering, and also I had sort of like I was very interested in like helping and at the same time like learning new things because I volunteered with several different populations or social groups. How can I say it? Like, for example, for people with schizophrenia, then homelessness.
Is it here cancer, or in Slovakia?
I lived in Spain and for like 8 years. And I basically started there to volunteer,
so what triggered it?
Because I was kind of like, for example, this type of volunteering for people with schizophrenia, it was like they were kind of like isolated mostly from outer world because like nobody really wants to sit with them, and it was based on this volunteering, like a companion to do, like to simply accompany, like to be with them during like to go hiking, to have like lunch, dinner, and simply like during their like time off, because like many of them like are kind of lonely, these people, and I kind of like think that it's kind of very sad that when you don't have anybody who is like in your surroundings or loved one or simply a friend. And so I kind of like to do this and just simply also like listen to these people. It was very interesting, and I learned all the things at the same time. And so yeah, I definitely there was a certain like to help, urge to help, and also curiosity as well. And so yeah, so then I volunteered in Slovakia. I returned from Spain to Slovakia, where I lived for a few years, and then I came here to US. And so it was also different social groups. And so yeah, and right now I have to say also that I can see how many people seek help, like for example, like social workers or simply psychiatrists or like therapy, like they really like the isolation is very, very like serious for many people, and like need to talk to somebody. That they also said that this profession is going to be like going to grow in the future. Because so and I understand that I can see in my clients, like sometimes it's like there's so many things that are related to COVID-19 right now. Racism, that's another thing. And so yeah, I think that I also kind of I like definitely to do this type of job, and at the same time meet many people and diverse people.
I think you're both doing amazing work, and you're doing it for all of us who don't do anything in that vein. Really, I feel ashamed sometimes that I live in my bubble, comfortable bubble.
Maybe just a segue. I certainly appreciate the 3 minutes experience for getting me outside of my everyday, and to learn so much about the fascinating work that our people of Czech and Slovak heritage here in New York are doing. So thank you, all three of you, Anna, Maya, and Tom, for sharing some of your story and particularly how it's been different this past year. And thank you, Susanna, for the great work you did putting that video together. I know it's a ton of work behind the scenes. And thank you, our audience, for joining us. And please join us for the next event. Again, check out our website, check us out on Facebook. And we
thank you all for donations.
That too, for your support.
You did great, yeah.
Thank you for opportunity to share experience.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank
you. You did fabulous work, job, whatever. You were great.
Whatever, it will be on YouTube. So you may, those people who couldn't attend today, although we had over 60 people registered, I don't know if they couldn't make it, but they all can watch this on YouTube.
No, great. So thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome, and thank you for doing all this.
Thank you. Thank you for not giving up after the first 13 minutes of technical issues.
Yeah,
not leaving. Yes. Okay, good night.
All right, be strong, be well, everybody.
Well, be safe, be healthy.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.